Hi everyone, welcome back to Crime and Coffee. My name is Rochelle. We're going to be doing the cross now. As you can see right here is Georgia. She forgot to ask the question, so she's doing that before cross starts. So let's get this going.
Ms. Adelson, I'm going to approach you with what I've marked as State's Exhibit 64. Ms. Adelson, did you have an opportunity to review State's 99 of discs containing wiretap calls relating to this case?
I did.
And as part of our pretrial preparations, were you asked to listen to those calls and verify whether or not you could authenticate some of the voices on those calls?
So I was asked not to listen to the whole call, but just to listen to a few seconds, enough to be able to identify the people speaking on the calls.
And is that what you did?
That is what I did.
All right. And is State's Exhibit 64 a fair and accurate recording of where your initials appear, that representing that you could authenticate the voices on that particular call?
That is correct.
Okay. So, for example, the list includes call A on State's Exhibit 99, and you've initialed here indicating that the call is from Donna Adelson to Charlie Adelson.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you. Judge, at this time I'd ask to move into evidence State 64.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
Be admitted as State's Exhibit 64.
No other questions. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, thank you.
And here we go.
Cross-examination?
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you. Ms. Adelson, this is all about you, isn't it?
Yes.
Excuse me?
This is all about you, right?
Yes.
I was called to be a witness and I'm testifying, so I don't understand the question. Is it a question?
There's about 100 people in this courtroom, right?
There are people in the courtroom.
Possibly thousands watching, right?
I have no idea who's watching.
And it's all because of your failed marriage, right?
I disagree with that.
You disagree that your ex-husband is dead because of your family.
Yes, I disagree.
These jurors are here for weeks doing their civic duty because of your marriage, right?
No.
Katie's going through this ordeal because of that marriage, right?
No.
Dan Markel's parents are going through absolute misery because of your failed marriage. Isn't that right?
No, that's incorrect.
Well, let's talk about the marriage. You and Professor Markel, you met when you were in law school. You told that to Miss Kaplan. And it was a whirlwind romance, right? Right?
It was not a whirlwind romance, no.
It led to a wedding, February 26th of 2006. You had a big wedding in Boca Raton, right?
Did we get married on February 26, 2006? Is that the question? Yes.
In Boca Raton.
In Boca Raton, Florida.
And it wasn't a small wedding. It was a big wedding.
There were many people in attendance.
All right. In this marriage, it led to 2 children, right? Your 2 boys.
Are you asking me if I have 2 boys?
Yes.
Yes.
And Professor Markel, he was a great father, wasn't
He was a very good father, yes.
he? Those boys were his world, right?
As well as his work, yes.
And they adored him too, didn't they?
Absolutely.
Now, this marriage started to fall apart, right?
It did.
But there were problems from the very beginning, weren't there? Right?
Are you asking me, what is the very beginning? The very beginning of when we got married?
Literally at the wedding.
There were problems before we got married.
All right, so at the wedding,
So why'd you
the
get
government
married?
asked you about kosher at law, right?
About what, I'm sorry?
Keeping kosher,
About keeping kosher, yes.
right?
The government
And your
asked.
wedding, at your wedding was the groom's family, the Markel family, and they are more strict than your family and friends about keeping kosher.
They do not keep kosher.
Wasn't that one of the problems in your marriage, that Professor Markel was very insistent about keeping kosher?
About his kosher rules, but those are different than his family's.
So you're saying that it wasn't a problem at the wedding, that there were people from the groom's side of the family that were there that strictly keep kosher, That they were told that it was going to be kosher food, but it actually wasn't.
So there was a misunderstanding about whether the food was going to be kosher style or more in adherence with kosher law. There was a miscommunication about that.
So you had people that strictly keep kosher eating non-kosher food, which is a big deal.
That actually is not what happened. You had, Danny was upset that it was kosher style and not strictly adhering to kosher law. So he was disappointed.
Just
So
gonna
there's
let my
problems
dog
right
out
from the
here.
That was a problem at our wedding, yeah.
Fast forward now to September 10th, 2012. Professor Markel, he's away on a business trip, right?
Yes,
He's in New York City at New York University, right?
I believe so, yes.
And he's doing a presentation.
I don't know what he was doing.
Your husband at the time was in New York to give a presentation. You knew that, right?
I knew he was in New York. I didn't know if he was attending a conference or giving a presentation, but he was in New York for work.
Now, you had not communicated with him for 2 days.
I really don't remember.
You text him at around 2:30 in the afternoon, right? Right before he's about to do the presentation.
I really don't remember.
But you do remember dropping the bomb on him, don't you? Telling him that you wanted a divorce.
So I did not drop a bomb on him. We'd been in therapy for several months beforehand where I told him several times I wanted a divorce.
You say it's not a bomb, but you agree with me that he begged you to reconsider.
He was very upset and yes, wanted me to reconsider, but
In that phone call, he's begging you to reconsider. Please don't leave. Please don't break up our family, right?
he was very upset, yes.
And he was heartbroken. I mean, upset indicates that there was anger. What he was heartbroken, right?
That I decided to divorce him after telling him I would, yes.
Despite being at NYU for a presentation, he rushes home. He gets on the next flight, right?
I honestly don't remember if he got on the next flight, but he did come home quickly.
2:30, he finds out in New York. By 11
Word
p.m.,
salad.
he's walking in the door to your old house at Trescott Drive, right?
I don't know.
But you do know that when he walks in the house, what he finds. You know that, right?
Yes, I left him the papers.
You left the divorce papers on the bed, right?
Yes.
Half the
So in the first trial, she was asked if she left the divorce papers in the bed on the bed. She said no. Now she's saying yes. Like, can this girl not get one thing straight?
furniture was gone.
Half the furniture was not gone.
A good amount of his stuff was gone.
Nothing of his was gone.
The boys' stuff was gone, right?
Some of the boys' things were gone. I'd taken enough so that I had for the boys, but no.
You were gone,
I was gone, yes.
and so were his boys.
His boys were not gone. He saw them the next day, and they would not have been awake if he's coming home at 11 p.m.
Let's stay on topic here.
I'd love to stay on topic.
When he walks in the door, the boys are not in the house, right?
Correct.
And you did not tell Professor Markel where you were taking the boys. He may have seen them the next day, but you did not let him know where you were going to be staying with his boys.
With our boys? Yes.
So you agree with me that they're also his.
Of course they're his.
And he should be entitled to know where his wife is taking his children.
Absolutely.
That's not all you took, is it?
Excuse me?
You two had a joint checking account at Schwab, right?
We did.
And you went into that account before you dropped the bomb, and you took out half of that account, right?
Correct.
Roughly $350,000.
Half, yes. Of our joint account.
$350,000.
I don't remember the amount, but yes.
You know that it was in the hundreds of thousands.
I really don't remember the amount, sir.
She has a really bad habit, because even if you remember back to when they were asking her if her family's wealthy or this and that, she minimized. Well, it just depends on your perspective of wealthy. She has a really bad habit of not owning up to financial stuff. It's like if she minimizes it, then people are going to look at them as one of them. Or, I believe she tries to minimize money and the finances, things like that, because if we don't look like we have a lot of money, then we wouldn't have paid a lot of money to have Danny murdered. She really does minimize finances like a big time. Like, even with her parents' properties. She knew, like, if you listen to the jail calls, if you listen to Donna, she's constantly saying, well, we need to get Wendy here so we can get all this business stuff figured out. And so she knows where all the money is and all of this stuff. She knows. She knew they had property. She knew they had rental property. Like, she honestly thinks she's the smartest person in the room. She's the smartest person in the room, and the rest of us are all imbeciles.
Is it that insignificant of a sum to you that you
I'm
don't
not saying
remember?
it's an insignificant sum. I'm saying I can't attest to the amount that was there.
I'm going to tone it down now. You were unhappy in the marriage, right?
That's why I got divorced, yes.
And it happens. Marriages fall apart, right?
Yes.
But you complained constantly about it, didn't you?
No, I don't think I complained constantly.
To anyone that would listen.
No, that's not true.
You agree with me that you complained to the one person that would actually do something about it.
I don't understand what you're asking.
Your big brother, Charles Adelson, you complained to him about how bad Professor Markel was and how much you hated him and didn't want to be in a marriage with him.
I definitely talked to my brother about how unhappy I was in my marriage. If that's the question, then yes.
Let's
Is
talk
that the
about it.
question?
Yes, that is a question. You talked to your brother, Charles Adelson, about how bad your marriage was.
I did, yes.
Let's talk about it. Government asked you about Charles Adelson. He's an intelligent guy, right?
He was smart.
Yeah. He's both book smart and street smart, right?
I would say so.
You would say that he's a talker.
He does like to talk.
He's got the gift of gab, so to speak.
I wouldn't say he has the gift of gab, but he does talk.
He knows what to say in the moment.
I wouldn't say that's true either.
You would say, though, that he is. Now, you were asked questions about, drug purchasing and stuff like that. You'd agree with me that he's also street smart.
I mean, I think he has common sense.
Common sense.
And that he lives life to a certain extent on both sides of the track. During the day, he's doing periodontal work, whatever that is, crowns, root canals, whatever that is. He's doing that during the day. At night, he's out with friends, he's buying drugs. He's living life on both sides of the track.
I don't know about that he's out buying drugs.
Now, let's talk for a second about WhatsApp. And as an aside here for a second, the government asked you the question if you used WhatsApp, right? You remember that?
I remember them asking me, yes.
On the day that Professor Markel was killed, you went in for the interview, right?
I talked to the police.
And you also gave them your phone for them to inspect.
Absolutely.
All right. So the determination of what, if any, WhatsApp was being used, they would have from the download they did that day of your phone.
Sure.
Now, would you be surprised to learn that your brother used WhatsApp?
No.
You would agree with me that WhatsApp, and you explained it well, is end-to-end encryption.
Correct.
In your lay opinion, if you can explain to the jurors, just in case they don't know, what that means.
I know that it's something we use at my work because essentially it has the ability to keep things more private. I also know that nothing's actually private and that anyone who wants to can uncode the messages. So that's what we tell people at our work.
So the thought is with WhatsApp, if I use my phone and I call somebody, the call could be listened to. If I text somebody, it's recordable, right?
I think so.
But with WhatsApp, you can send messages or have phone calls where there's no record of it.
I don't think that's true. I think there is still a record of it.
But the belief and the thought, I'll withdraw that question. Your lay understanding, though, is that the footprint that it leaves is much less than that of normal communications.
I think it's different, but I think it still leaves a digital footprint that's easily uncodable.
If you were to send a WhatsApp message to Ms. Kappelman, it would show that a message was sent, but it would be hard to get what the content of the message is.
I don't think that's true.
All right. Let's talk about your brother's jokes now. You don't deny that he joked about hiring a hitman.
He did.
You don't deny that he repeated this joke.
He did.
And he made this joke right before a hitman murdered Professor Markel.
I don't know that to be true.
Okay. He made the joke right before, and I'll leave out the hitman part, Professor Markel was killed.
He made the joke the morning that I talked to him.
Can you think of one person in this world that would actually hire two people to go kill Professor Markel other than your family?
this is just a quick thing about the call that day of the murder. She has already stated that she called her brother to discuss if it was worth getting the TV fixed or buying a new one. Then she was asked, did you talk about anything else? And she goes, well, I might have talked and caught up, about work and stuff. Now she's saying the day Dan Markel was murdered, he made that exact same joke again on that 18-minute phone call. Oh,
Your Honor.
Ms. Adelson, please answer.
I'm gonna go back here because this is a really where she shows how entitled she is. She doesn't want to answer the question, so she looks at the judge. She thinks that she's going to get the judge to help her. There's no objection. There's nothing. And she looks at the judge to think the judge is going to help her get out of this question. So I'm going to go back for a second because I did stop it and I shouldn't have stopped it right there.
Hire two people to go kill Professor Markel other than your family?
Oh, I didn't go back for it.
Ms. Adelson
Let's go back to
murdered Professor Markel.
I don't know that to be true.
Okay. He made the joke right before, and I'll leave out the hitman part. Professor Markel was killed.
He made the joke the morning that I talked to him.
Can you think of one person in this world that would actually hire two people to go kill Professor Markel other than your family?
Your Honor.
Ms. Adelson, please answer. Please address me and answer the question.
It calls for an unbelievable amount of speculation. I mean, I'm
That's
responsible for
entitlement
coming
there.
up
She
with-
thinks she can
that's the prosecutor's
make the
duty,
judge
to
stand up
figure
for her.
out who's responsible.
You just said a moment ago that you disagree that hitman killed Professor Markel. That's what you said, right? So my question to you is, if you're able to say, well, it wasn't hitman, then who? Tell this jury. Who on this planet would have wanted to kill Professor Markel?
I have no idea.
All right,
I have no idea.
let's get into that a little bit. But I want to make sure that's clear. This joke is made right before Professor Markel is murdered, right?
The joke was made many times.
It was made right before Professor Markel was murdered. Yes or no?
Yes.
July 18, 2014, you're interviewed, and you make a statement saying, I knew this would happen. You said that, right?
I did.
All right. Now I want to talk about your knowledge and your belief on this. You're a smart person, right?
How am I supposed to answer that?
Well, let's go through your resume.
Yes.
You went to Brandeis University, right?
I did.
You graduated magna cum laude.
I did.
If you could explain to the jury what that means.
It means I studied a lot and got good grades.
All right. It means, and to speak, I'm from the Northeast. My Boston accent may give it away. It means you're wicked smart, right?
That's very
You had a
nice.
high
Thank you.
GPA, a very high
Very
GPA.
nice of you.
I work hard.
You also went and you got a master's degree from the University of Cambridge.
I did.
You were a Gates Scholar.
I was.
You then go to the University of Miami School of Law, which is a top-tier law school, Tier 1, right?
Okay.
Right? We're talking about your level of intelligence. You went to the University of Miami Law School,
I
right?
did, yes.
You also clerked at the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals, right?
I did.
Now, to get a clerkship out of law school, it's a very difficult thing to do, right?
It's challenging.
You have to have top grades. You have to go through a rigorous selection process, right?
Yes.
You then become a professor at the Florida State University College of Law, right?
Yes.
You're also a published author, right?
Now you're just embarrassing me.
No, you're just embarrassment.
Why-
Oh my God,
why
oh
are
my
you
God.
embarrassed that-
Now you're just embarrassing me. So she can't admit to finances. She's trying to play down her education. Honestly, in a weird sort of way. As stupid as this woman acts, I would almost want to play down my education too. She is infuriating me. She is not a stupid woman. She's well educated, and she acts like she. Oh, I gotta calm down because she makes my blood boil. This woman makes my blood boil. Now you're just embarrassing me while I'm fluttering my eyes at you, Christakos. Just be nice to me. I'm Wendi Adelson. I'm supposed to be able to put a spell on men. I'm supposed to make them just want to fall at my feet. I love that Georgia is just sitting back and because you know she wants to go at her. Oh, you know, I can feel it. She wants to go at her. So she's loving what Chris is doing. She's loving that he's kind of hammering it to her. Now you're just embarrassing me. Sorry, I had to have that rant because that just is too much.
That you're a published author.
I don't like talking about myself.
Is it because the book that you wrote discredited Tallahassee and spoke ill of it?
The book did not discredit Tallahassee. It wasn't about Tallahassee.
Let's stay on topic and ask a question again with everything that we just went through. You're a smart woman, right?
I am a smart woman.
There's information about this case everywhere. You'd agree with me on that, right?
I've been advised by my lawyer not to read it.
All right. Now, we're not talking about reading stuff. There's podcasts,
Also not to listen.
TV shows,
Also not to watch.
articles.
Don't read.
And so you've made the decision. Now, you're a lawyer yourself too, right?
I am.
And you made the decision, I'm not going to look at any of this stuff.
Correct.
I don't want to know what happened to the father of my 2 children.
Not I don't want to know what happened.
How can you say you love those boys if you don't care who killed the father that they loved?
Of course I care who killed the father that they loved.
Then why won't you look at the stuff?
I've been advised not to.
Are you afraid that when you look at it, you're going to realize that your brother did this?
I am not afraid of that.
Now, of course,
I am not afraid.
And we won't get into
of that.
privileged communications, but you've spoken to your lawyer about the case.
How are we not getting into privileged communications? Yes, I've spoken to my lawyer about the case.
You're very intelligent. You have one of the top defense attorneys in the country, a former federal prosecutor, John Lower, right there in the blue suit, right?
He is my attorney.
You're telling me with all of this at your disposal, your intelligence, his experience, and all this information, that you don't care to find out who it is that killed Professor Markell?
This is not that I don't care to find out. My job is to take care of those boys, and that is what I do. I don't see how it helps take care of them to go reading and watching and soaking up all of the horrible information that's out there.
You don't realize that you could be helpful in finally untangling this to give this jury the truth about what happened to Professor Markell?
I have been nothing but helpful since this started.
To what happened to their son? By you looking at it, you are at the center of all this, but you won't look at anything to help in the process.
I've done nothing but help in this process.
You came here and testified.
I came here and testified. I spoke to
had
the
to be-
police for 6 hours without anyone present. I signed over my cell phone, my car, my house, everything, my computer. What else do I have or know that you haven't seen?
I should stop it there. Here comes another rant. Oh, I did this, I did this, I did this, I did this. You've taken everything. What more can I do? She really didn't have a choice but to go with the police. She did not have a choice. They didn't call it an interrogation. They called it an interview. She really did not have a choice but to hand over her phone. They would have got a subpoena for her phone. They would have got a subpoena for her house. She didn't have a lawyer. And she signed the paperwork. It's not like she just gave them. No, she had to sign the paperwork. And trust me, we're going to do the interrogation, and you're going to see how many times she delays them taking her phone. Isom tries to take it, and then she's asking more questions. She gets him off track. From my memory, it's 3 times she derails him taking the phone till the 4th time, and he finally takes the phone. What does she want here? Does she want a freaking trophy? Does she want a badge of honor? Does she want a fucking hero cookie? And I do apologize about my language. But seriously, what does this woman want? I did this. I did this. You killed your husband. That's what you did. You killed your ex-husband. You killed the father of your children. Because you wanted to just wash your hands. You didn't want to have to ask him or tell him anything about his children. You just wanted to go and live the Barbie life. Move on to the next guy. What does she want from this? Like I know she's playing to the jury. I get it. Oh, poor me. I've been wrung through the ringers. I've done all of this. You killed your ex-husband. So what, you handed over your phone? So what, you handed over your laptop? So what, you opened your house? It wasn't gone for long, Wendy.
You came here because you were subpoenaed and had no choice,
Correct.
right?
This is not fun. I
You've
would not do this by choice.
You've been inconvenienced.
I've not been inconvenienced.
Professor Markel was shot in the head.
I'm not complaining about being here. This is my duty. I'm here.
We'll get back to you complaining about being here.
We'll get back to you
Do
complaining
you
about
honestly
being here.
expect this jury to believe that you haven't confronted your brother about all of this?
Yes, I do.
Yes, you did confront him?
Yes, I do expect them to believe that I did not confront my brother because I didn't.
Or maybe you don't need to because you know the truth in this case. You already know it. That he went behind your back, right?
Did not happen.
Just like he has done with past boyfriends. He's done that in the past where he's gone behind your back when you were having problems in a relationship and dealt with it himself.
No.
He didn't go behind my
Say,
back.
listen,
I told him to do it.
you understand that until you expose your brother what he did, that everybody's going to consider you as guilty. You understand that, right?
What is the question that you're asking me?
You understand that until you expose your brother and explain what he did, that he went behind everybody's back, that he hired a hitman to murder your ex-husband, you'll remain guilty in the eyes of the world.
I can't speak to the eyes of the world. I can only know that I have done nothing wrong.
Or maybe you are
I've
guilty.
done nothing.
I am not guilty.
So, a witness in this case,
Laser
I'm not going to get
eyes.
into their testimony, but one of the hitmen, the convicted hitman, implicates you. On July 17, 2014, the day before the murder, the morning before, he says that you were walking on Trescott with the 2 boys, that you walked down the driveway and into the house.
That never happened.
Right, because Professor Markel, I apologize, Professor Markel, he had the kids. Based on the way that your guy's schedule was, on that day he would have had the children in the morning, and you're going through such a bad divorce, you wouldn't be at his house, right?
I wouldn't be at his house anyway, but not because we were going through a bad divorce. At that time, things were pretty copacetic.
All right, so we're coming back to maybe you do know, or maybe you were involved.
Excuse me? What's the
I-
question that you're asking me?
I'm giving you a header of what we're talking about so that it will ease you in the question, okay? I'm just telling you what the topic that we're on, so we'll get to a question. Now, the government asked you about a time that you met Miss Magbanua. It was actually spring break of March 2014, right?
I believe so.
You went down to Miami, you stayed with your brother Charles.
I went down to Fort Lauderdale after being in Immokalee and
We-
stayed with my brother.
You then went to Miami Beach to Yardbird and had dinner outside with your boyfriend at the time, or who you were dating, Jeffrey Lacasse. Kathrine Magbanua was there, and your brother Charles Adelson, and you all ate outside, right?
We did.
And that's on Miami Beach, not in Fort Lauderdale.
Correct.
Now, just for context, Jeffrey Lacasse, He was also an FSU professor, not at the law school, but an FSU professor. Nice guy, right?
I don't think so now.
No, because he called you out on your shit.
Now, you deny, I'm assuming, that on July 13, 2014, you told Jeffrey Lacoste that Charles looked into hiring a hitman. You deny that, or you admit that?
I deny that.
And that you told him that Charles looked into hiring a hitman back in September of 2013,
That never happened.
which would have been months before your brother even met Kathrine Magbanua.
I don't remember when they met.
Letting you know the topic we're on, we're talking about you being involved. That same week, earlier in the week, you sent an email. We're talking about the week of the murder now, not spring break, the week of the murder, not Yardbird, the week of the murder. You sent an email to Jeffrey Lacoste saying that you wanted to break up, that you needed space, right?
I did.
Sent him a long email, stay away, we're broken up, right?
I did.
You knew that on July 18, 2014, Jeffrey Lacoste was leaving town to go on a trip, right?
I knew he was leaving at some point that week. I don't remember when.
You knew that he was leaving on the same day of the murder at the same exact time as the murder,
I
Yep.
don't think I did.
11 a.m. on July 18, 2014.
I don't think I knew when he was leaving town.
You asked him.
It's a good way to put the blame onto somebody else. You'd agree on that, right? If it happened, it would have been a good way to put the blame on somebody else.
I have no idea when he was going to leave town.
Your interview, July 18, 2014, you said, my brother, he joked about hiring a hitman. Perhaps that was you just planting a seed to divert the attention of law enforcement away from you.
It
Yep.
was not.
Let's jump off topic right now and talk about your boys' names. That in the time after the murder, you changed their last names from Markel to Adelson, right?
A year later, yes.
Why?
I was scared
Of what?
of someone coming to attack them.
So it's a year later, you won't look at anything because you don't want to know what's going on in the case. And the thought is, well, they're going to be protected if they have my last name and not Markel, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, years later, arrests are made. It's clear who committed the murder, Sigfredo Garcia Luis Rivera. The Adelson name has been dragged through the mud.
Yeah.
Why haven't you continued to protect your boys and changed the name back?
I will be changing I'm not going to change the name back. I don't think that will help. One day I'll change all of our names.
Oh no, honey, your name
government
ain't getting
asked you about
changed. It's
immunity,
you're
so
getting a
it's gonna
number.
be-
You're getting a number.
You explained that as an attorney, you understand that when the government gives a subpoena for somebody to testify, that it conveys immunity, right?
That's my understanding. My knowledge of criminal law dates back to 2003 when I took a semester in law school. So forgive me.
Graduated
isn't-
law school, right?
This isn't
You're gonna
my
be
area of
known
law.
as inmate.
When you clerked on the
Number,
11th
number,
Circuit,
number,
you were
number,
Judge
number.
Jordan, right?
I did immigration appeals.
Yeah, but you still dealt with criminal stuff as well, too.
Very little.
So your understanding, though, is it doesn't mean they can't arrest you. They just can't use what you say here against you later on. So you're protected.
Correct.
And you needed that to testify, right?
It's just given to testify. It's not a question of whether I needed it. It comes with testifying.
You fear being charged by them, so you need to have that protection of
I
your
don't
words.
fear being charged for a crime I didn't commit. No.
Now, y'all had this nice exchange where it was pleasant, but there's actually tension between you and this office, right?
No.
They recently had your brother Charles Adelson arrested, and he's in custody, right?
Correct.
For first-degree murder.
Correct.
And there's no tension?
It's very uncomfortable to be here. It's hard to tell where the tension is coming from.
They've discussed your involvement in this case. They insinuated it on the direct examination. There's no tension?
Lots of media insinuates that I did something I didn't do too. I can't feel tension towards every person in the world.
That's funny. I thought you didn't look at anything.
I don't. That's why.
But you know that you know about the media, but you don't know about the media?
I
Exactly.
know about the media because it keeps me from employment. It keeps me from lots of things in my life. I'm aware of what's there, but I don't I don't read the minutia so I can sleep at night.
Ms. Adelson, 5 minutes ago you said you don't look at any of that stuff.
I
Now I
don't
asked you a
look at
question.
it.
Let me finish.
Sure.
5 minutes ago you say you don't look at any of that stuff. Now I ask you a question, you say you look at stuff.
That's not actually what I said. I said I'm aware that it exists, but I don't read it. I don't listen to it.
So how
And
do you
How do
know?
you know that they're bashing you?
You just told me they are.
I
No,
did.
you didn't.
How about this? We'll come back to it. You can think up a better answer, okay?
I'm not thinking up an answer. I'm telling you the truth.
Oh,
I'm sorry
you
if don't
gotta
wanna
love
listen to
Krista
it.
Koss on this
Your
one.
basic understanding of criminal law, though, you know that if the defense gives you a subpoena, you get no immunity.
Correct.
Objection, improper question.
I'm not going beyond that question.
All right, that's the only question you can ask on that.
If I give you a subpoena, you don't get immunity, right?
Correct.
Now, let's talk about your parents. The government asked you about your mother and father, Donna and Harvey, right? The government could do the same and subpoena them so that this jury can watch them get questioned, not nicely how Ms. Kappelman questioned you, but to be cross-examined by me.
Objection, improper question.
I'm going to sustain that. Ask a different question.
Are your parents here in Tallahassee right now?
No.
Are they back in Miami?
Yes.
Do they have any plans of coming here this week or next?
I don't think so.
Now, your family dynamic. It is your mother and father, Harvey and Donna. There's you, you're the youngest, Charles, and then the oldest, Robert. Right?
Correct.
And he's a doctor up in New York.
Correct.
Now, the government asked you about the relationship, and you're like, we don't talk much. It's actually much deeper than that with Robert, isn't it?
We don't talk
At all.
at all.
And the reason is because your parents were so difficult about the woman that is now his wife.
That is not the reason why we don't talk.
I'm not talking about the reason why you don't talk. Let me clarify it. The reason why your parents don't talk to him.
That's not the reason why they don't talk with them.
Are you saying to this jury that there wasn't a problem where they...
So it was the initial reason. It was the initial reason. But the reason they do not talk now is because Rob has separated himself. Rob has, after the, what's that podcast? Can't remember the name of the podcast at the moment. But Rob did an interview on a podcast and then separated himself completely from the family. Completely. And there is evidence that's going to come out in Donna's trial about podcasts, Rob and Haritha, people she wants to sue. She's got it under there. People to sue, speak to Daniel Rashbaum, and it's got podcast, Rob and Haritha. So the real reason they don't speak at this moment is because Rob separated himself from this family, from this toxic, killing family.
outright objected to his marriage of a woman that was not of the Jewish faith?
That was initially what happened, and then there was actually a beautiful reconciliation, and they're very happy about the marriage.
Robert and his wife, not your family.
Robert and his wife and our family were very happy about Robert's marriage.
So what happens is that Robert is in love with a woman. Your parents object. He breaks up with her and then dates a Jewish woman, right?
And then they got married and divorced, and then he got back together with the person he wanted to be married to. Yes.
With his true love.
Yes.
But there was a lot of tension in your family because of your family's involvement in the kids' marriages, right?
Yes.
Let's talk briefly about your children. The government had asked you in the topic of the Jewish faith, keeping kosher. You mentioned a bat mitzvah at one point in time. You're currently planning a bat mitzvah for your oldest, right?
No, it already happened.
Okay, now that is a very, Christopher, I'm obviously not Jewish, but my understanding is that it is a very, very important thing in the Jewish faith.
It's a very important milestone.
And for those that are very conservative in the Jewish faith, those that keep kosher, so to speak, it's even bigger.
I don't know that it's more important to one segment of Judaism over another, but it's an important coming of age ceremony.
It's where a boy becomes a man. Did you invite Dan Markel's parents, the kid's grandparents?
I did.
You invited them?
I invited them, yes.
When was the last time they saw face-to-face their grandchildren?
April 20th,
Of this year?
just now.
And you agree with me that it had been years since 2016, since the last time they had seen them?
The visit stopped when they threatened to put my children in foster care, yes. But up until that point, they did
They
have visits.
did not threaten. Oh, this
You got no
woman.
problem letting them see your brother Charles, right?
I'm sorry?
You have no problem letting them hang out with your brother Charles, who's now sitting in custody for first-degree murder.
Oh, they can't see him now, can they?
No, they can't, but I'll ask the questions. For years, they weren't able to see their grandchildren despite their pleading to you to see them, but you let them, let me finish, but you let them hang out with your murdering brother, right?
The children were permitted to see their grandparents. I cooked for them. We had play dates. They had sleepovers. When
I
the letter
cooked,
surfaced that they were trying to have my children placed in
sleepovers.
foster care, the visits stopped. My brother never threatened to put my children in foster care, and if he had, the visits would have stopped with him too.
You say you love your boys.
I do say I love my children.
Don't care about the father that they love. What
I
happened?
never said that I don't care about the father that they
Then
love.
look at some of the discovery and help figure it out.
Excuse me?
Then look at some of the evidence and help figure it out so that more lives aren't ruined by this.
I seem to not
Mr.
understand.
DeCosta, you need to ask a question now. You're making statements now. You need to ask a question.
Understood, Your Honor. If I could have one brief second to check with co-counsel.
Laser eyes.
Ms. Adelson, we started this by saying that this is all about you. It started with you because of this marriage, right?
No. Well, you had tried to say that, but I don't agree.
Ms. Adelson, I'm going to make one final attempt through questions to implore you. You understand that you can't protect your brother Charles, who's going through this case, and protect yourself at the same time. You understand that, right?
I'm here to share the truth with you. I don't know how to answer the question.
Then please end the madness and share the truth. Will you please share the truth with this jury?
I've been sharing the truth since I walked in here. I've done nothing but share the truth.
You've done
know what
nothing but
happened here,
lie.
Despite your claims to the jury that you haven't looked at anything, you haven't discussed with anybody, and you haven't confronted your brother, you know what happened here, right?
I do not know what happened here, and if I did, I would have shared it with the police 8 years ago.
You know that your brother,
You did share it with the police.
you know that your brother went behind your back.
Just not all of it.
Don't you?
I do not.
Like he always does. This is something that he has always done,
It is
isn't it?
not.
You found out after that your brother had done this and gone behind your back. That's why you were thrown up at that dinner, right?
No, it's not.
You know that it didn't involve Katie either, right?
I don't know anything about
If you're not going to say all of that and finally give the truth, why don't you just admit to this jury that you're guilty?
because I'm not guilty.
One brief moment, Your Honor.
This is really the most pressure she got. And these two trials, like she's chugging that water.
So, listen, you were asked about the reason why you stopped contact for a period of time between your ex-husband's parents and your children.
Yes.
And you referenced a letter that you characterized as the grandparents threatening to put the children into foster care. Is that an email that was sent from the Markells to my office?
Yes.
Okay. And that was in reference to, in the event that you and the people that care for these children, who at the time were very young, were arrested, that the grandparents wanted to make sure, because they live in Canada, right?
They do.
They wanted to make sure that a specific organization could be contacted to care for the children, so that someone was there to care for them until a relative could get there.
I don't
Right?
remember the bit about a relative getting there.
Okay, well, they weren't just going to leave them in foster care, right?
I don't know.
Okay. But the specific nature of the email, you will agree, was in the event that there's some kind of mass arrest, because they don't know who's getting ready to go to jail next, right? I mean, they're not privy to the investigation any more than you are, right? Law enforcement investigations, they're secret.
Sure.
Okay. And their concern, would you agree the concern ultimately in the email was for the care of the children?
The concern was to make sure the children were under good care, but as their mother, I know they're always under good care with me.
Right, but
And there's no need for foster
the
care.
email contemplated you not being available to care for them.
That's not possible.
Because it's not possible for you to get arrested.
Correct, because I've done nothing wrong and I believe in our justice system.
Okay. Well, just wanted to clarify the nature of that.
Did you hear Georgia there? We just have to hear that again. I'm going to say it, and then we're going to hear it again. Because it's impossible for you to get arrested. This is impossible. You hear Georgia say, well, okay. I would love to know what's going on in her brain right there.
For good care, but as their mother, I know they're always under good care with me.
Right, but
And there's no need for foster
the
care.
email contemplated you not being available to care for them.
That's not possible.
Because it's not possible for you to get arrested.
Correct, because I've done nothing wrong and I believe in our justice system.
Okay. Well, just wanted to clarify the nature of that.
Okay. Well,
In this case, you were asked about, why aren't your parents?
I almost wanted to say that it's like, okay, well, I also believe in the justice system, and I know what's coming. Here are new bracelets for you, Wendy Adelson.
Coming to testify. You, as you mentioned, gave a police interview in this case, right?
Correct.
And consented to the search of your phone, etc. You gave testimony in this case, right?
Yes,
All right. And your parents did not, correct?
they did not give testimony.
They have not testified. They
They've
have
not been
not given a
asked to
police.
come testify, but they would if they were asked.
Okay. And have they given any police interviews?
Okay.
They would have, but the police never contacted them.
The police did contact them, didn't they? And they refused.
No,
Are they represented by counsel?
they are represented by counsel.
Okay, so at the memorial, oh my God, this woman is pathetic. At the memorial, the police went up to Donna and Harvey and asked for them to come in and have an interview to speak with them. And they said, yes, they would contact them tomorrow. Police left it at that. They were going to contact tomorrow, set up a time. They would go in and have an interview. What happened the next day? Wendy, Harvey, and Donna loaded up a vehicle and hightailed their asses to Miami. They got out of there so fast. Wendy was supposed to go back in. And she was called. She didn't answer. Within 5 minutes of that call not being answered, her lawyer called Tallahassee Police Department and said she's unavailable, she will not be speaking anymore. They tried to call Donna and Harvey, and every time it went to voicemail. They were contacted. They refused to speak. They got out of there so fast. Oh.
And they'll come testify if we want them to.
If they are under state subpoena, just like I was, they would come testify.
All right. And do you know what they would testify to?
They would testify to whatever they know.
And do you know what they know?
I have no idea what they know.
Okay. They've never told you.
No,
You've never asked them
no.
because you never had any conversations with them about this murder.
I've been advised by my counsel not to.
All right. So nobody, including your brother Charlie, has admitted or denied to you any involvement in the murder one way or the other.
Correct.
Same with your parents.
Correct.
All right. One moment, please, Your Honor.
Okay.
Nothing further, Your Honor. Thank
You
you.
want her subject to recall?
No, sir. She's free to go about her business.
All right, you're free to go. Thank you.
Is quick to get out of here.
All right, let's put Ms. Rodriguez back on the stand and complete her cross-examination.
So, as I did in the last video, let's just imagine. Let's put it out in the universe. Let's send this out to the universe that this is Donna's trial. And Wendy's leaving out the door. Bye-bye, Wendy. And right outside here is going to be a police officer. Maybe Sanford. Maybe the FBI. And put her under arrest right then and there. It would work out great for the Markells. They're in Florida. They're not that far from the grandchildren. Everything would work out. Let's just hope that that's the case. Let's put it out to the universe. All of us just think Wendy will be arrested at Donna's trial. Like, so I know everybody, like people say, what about Harvey? What about Harvey? I'm 100% Harvey knew. 100%. But Donna overtalks Harvey so much. Donna speaks for Harvey so much. Donna takes the lead in everything so much that I don't know if there's going to be any evidence of Harvey knowing. I think if the only Adelson that's going to escape this is going to be Harvey. That's my thought. Now, that being said, they subpoenaed even Harvey's laptops, Harvey's phones. They subpoenaed all this. So right now, without seeing all that stuff, I don't see Harvey getting arrested. But I see Wendy getting arrested, and I cannot wait. So again, I'm just going to remind you, please like, please share, please subscribe, leave a comment. All these things help the channel grow and help